Football, obviously, Indiana's season is not going. It's not record-wise terribly far from where they probably should be. Actually, they shouldn't be any better than 2-1, but they should be 2-1. Iowa game, Iowa's just simply a better team, better coach. They were better prepared. Cincinnati, I don't think they're a top 10 team. Indiana had and you can forget about the Micah McFadden thing I mentioned earlier. They just passed on opportunity after opportunity to not make their own mistakes and win that game. And Indiana is just playing bad football, mistake-wise. They're just making mistakes that are all self-inflicted that had nothing to do with Micah McFadden. The forced interception near halftime at midfield, the fumble at the 2, roughing the passer on a stop third down, all those led to scores and turnarounds. And all of that completely. And it's like, man, and I really wonder how much does not having a guy like Kalen DeBoer here hurt, because he had things rolling smoothly. He's got Fresno State. They're 2-1. They have upset UCLA. They played Oregon tough. They're playing great football, not making those kinds of mistakes. I don't know that how much of this is Penix, and it's not his comfortability with where he was last year with Kalen DeBoer.
Well, I'd be curious to know what Rick thinks, but I think it all comes down to Michael Penix. And quite frankly, if they should somehow fall behind to a team that can really score, of course, they don't play anybody, but they can really score. I have a short leash on Michael Penix. He just does not look right, whether it's physical or mental or a little bit of both. I don't think it's a coaching thing. I just think that, and I feel terrible for the kid. I really thought he had a chance to maybe play on Sundays, as you watched him last year going for 491 in Columbus and looking as good as he did. But I tell you what, I like Tuttle. And if they're struggling or if he's struggling, I think I make the move. Rick?
Yeah. I mean, I think he's got to get it right against Western Kentucky for sure. It's their most winnable game they have left by far. And it's a game they can't afford to lose. And it's a more difficult game than I think the average people think. Western was off last week. They've had a whole extra week to prepare. They got a legitimate passing game with this kid named Bailey Zappi that they brought in from Houston Baptist, who's putting up these ridiculous numbers. He had a little bit of a bad half against Army, but in the second half, Army couldn't really slow him down. And I think it's a mistake for Indiana actually to play in Bowling Green. Kentucky and Louisville have both played Western in these home-and-home series, but the games that were Western's home game, they actually played them in Nashville in the Titans Stadium. So you're going and playing this team in their home thing where this is like their game. They've got circled for a real big deal. So Indiana has to go down there and perform. And beyond just Penix, though, I mean, the offensive line isn't good. I mean, you have to at least – when you're averaging – I don't even know what Carr's average – against the good teams, isn't he averaging like less than 3 yards per carry?
Yeah, it's like in the last game it was 2.5.
Yeah, it's not good enough. I mean, you have to make people respect the fact that you can run the ball. And one of the things with Penix, people talk about his confidence is I think defenses also know that he's not a threat or he's not comfortable running the ball. And
it's true.
When Indiana was good on offense, Peyton Ramsey did give the defense something to think about because he could run and get first downs. And Penix did that some when he was younger. So they got to figure it out quick.
Yeah, and the thing I don't get, though, is why the offensive line is not good. These are all veterans. As a team, they've got 16 returning starters, but I think 9 of those were on offense, and a majority of that on the offensive line. And you've added some good pieces, Zach Carpenter, and it looks like they went the other direction, like they've put in a bunch of new faces that are still trying to catch on. So that's really, I don't understand how they look worse than they did a year ago.
I mean, they just might not, that might be who they are, and they're not capable of getting better. They're playing at the best they can play. The offensive line play hasn't been good for several years. Not good enough to win. I know they won 6 games last year, but the games they lost, the offensive line wasn't great. It wasn't great against Ole Miss last year in the bowl game.
Kane Womack, by the way, and
he's undefeated, isn't he?
He's 3-0, and Kalen DeBoer, or they're 2-1, and Kalen DeBoer is playing a Pac-12 schedule so far with Oregon and UCLA. But yeah, and he's 3-0, so they're 5-1 to start their season. That's something else Indiana has lost. They've lost coordinators that are winning at their schools. So
and Mike Hart, Michigan's unbeaten since Mike Hart went up there.
And they're looking. I mean, I know that they haven't played anyone outstanding yet, but they're scoring 60 points in a game. That's a lot of points, which in Indiana put up a lot of points against Idaho, but that was mostly on defense. I haven't paid attention to Michigan, but they sure seem like they're playing a lot better.
Yeah, and that's the thing. After this game against Western Kentucky, the next 3 teams Indiana plays all ranked in the top 20.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, you have to go to Penn State, who might be the best team in the Big Ten East or the Big Ten right now. I'm not sure.
And you think they haven't gotten a little tired of hearing about Michael Penix diving in the end zone?
Absolutely. So yeah, the Big Ten, there's no juggernaut this year. There's no Ohio State juggernaut. A lot of parity, at least it looks like on the Big Ten East side. On the West, Iowa kind of seems to be the team. I don't know if Wisconsin can challenge them over there. They look pretty strong, but on the East is looking like it usually looks. The Big Four. I don't know if Indiana's going to fit into that or not, but we'll find out. Now Indiana has to fight for bowl eligibility. Rick,
exactly.
They went from expected to win 8 games. I thought they should have won 8 games. Now you got to start counting games because Maryland is playing really good with Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback. I talked earlier, just having a quarterback with confidence, man, that gives you a chance when you probably don't always have a chance.
And there's no question. I mean, everybody thought Indiana's offense was going to be better this year with the receivers back. I think they thought Carr would be an upgrade over Stevie Scott because he's a faster, more elusive back, but hadn't happened. And, that Cincinnati game, I think they're going to go back, and there's so many ways they could have won that game. The way they turned down that field goal early in the game, then they went for it, and Allen said it was a bobbled snap. And then the interception and McFadden getting thrown out of the game.
Yeah.
And then another interception and burning timeouts in the second half. And they should have won that game. They should have won the game by 2 touchdowns instead of losing it by 2 touchdowns. And then I think the whole narrative around this team would be 180 degrees different.
Well, let me ask you guys. You're both there in the front row of the press box along with me. I felt that it was targeting, and I wonder what – and obviously Tom Allen did not think it was targeting. What did you guys think?
I've only seen the replay one time. It looked like it was targeting. Okay. I don't think it was intentional, but it was targeting.
Yeah, their faces, like you said, the contact was there. But here's the thing. I don't know why they've waited to change this rule because it's idiotic. An unintentional act cannot result in ejection from a game. You can go and virtually body slam a guy and get an unnecessary roughness penalty, but not get tossed, depending on the subjectivity of it. You can get a pretty good flag and not get tossed, but you get an inadvertent targeting call and you're gone. And it just makes zero sense to me. And I can't understand why they've taken this long to change that portion of the rule. I know the first year they were.
Indiana's defense collapsed to that level without McFadden. I know he's a really good player, but it's like he's not, Ray Lewis or, something like a super elite player. I mean,
he's third-team All-American. That's something that I mentioned in my column. I mean, if you're a good team, if you're a team that has designs on being really competitive in the Big Ten East, you got to overcome the loss of one player.
Right.
Yep.
It's not like you're losing Pat Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers or Lamar. You're losing your quarterback, linebacker.
Yeah.
He's the captain, third-team All-American. I'm sorry, you can't fall apart the way they fell apart once McFadden was out of the game.
No, and I think that penalty, that third down penalty came after he was out of the game, I believe. I think it was on Thomas Allen, as a matter of fact.
Yes, it was.
The roughing.
The
roughing. So, who was in for him? But yeah, I agree. I don't know why, because he's not playing every snap anyway. I don't know if it was an emotional thing for them or what happened, but you could feel and see the tone change, and it was very odd. A lot of times you see that offensively when an impactful player leaves, that it takes them a while to catch up, but they never did get back on page. And I can't believe that they couldn't regather themselves.
And you would think with that crowd, and that was one hell of a crowd, you would think with that group of human beings in the stands making all the noise and causing all the ruckus they did, that, they would be able to overcome. And I realize Indiana isn't quite as deep yet as the truly elite teams are in the Big Ten, but still, it's one player, and I got to think that, Thomas Allen, he's a coach's kid. Obviously, he knows what he's supposed to do. I just can't imagine that there's that much fall off.